What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Another Turnover, the basketball podcast where a basketball fan with zero basketball credibility gives his opinions on what's going on in the NBA. Opinions that nobody asked for. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Chris Aaron Murphy, aka AA Ron. And ladies and gentlemen, for the very first time in 2023, let's just jump right into it. Folks, it has been a while. I think my last episode was on the 16th of December, so about 3 weeks now. It's been a while. A lot has happened. A lot has changed. We've, been through a new year. We've, had crazy instances of, scoring outputs in the NBA that I'm going to get into here momentarily. But I hope y'all had a good holiday season. I hope you had a great Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or whatever you decided to celebrate this holiday season. And I hope it's been a good new year so far. By the time you're listening to this, it'll be, the 6th at least. So I hope all is well, and I pray nothing but peace and blessings for the remainder of 2023. But thank you for being here with me on this journey so far. Let's see. It'll be, it's been about a year and a half because I started the podcast May of 21. So we're coming up on 2 years here. Like what a ride it has been. But before I get too deep into today's show, I do want to just highlight. I know this is an NBA show, but I do want to highlight something that happened in the NFL. I was watching or catching Twitter and saw if you're familiar with sports news or just news in general, Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin had a terrible accident on the field against the Cincinnati Bengals in Monday Night Football this past week. So I just want to put some prayers out for Damar Hamlin, his healing, his restoration, and prayers for comfort for his family. But he took a hit to the chest as he was making a tackle. He got up and collapsed. The game was stopped right there to attend to him, and he received CPR on the field for several minutes, which, is, a tough thing. You saw, his teammates and, coaches and whatnot on the side, pretty devastated, that a player of, his caliber, and player of any caliber for that matter, was receiving CPR for that long on the field. But like I said, the game was stopped. The game that was eventually postponed to a later date that will be announced at another time. But the latest update from the Buffalo Bills Twitter that I just saw earlier this afternoon, as you know, I'm recording Thursday night. Per the physicians caring for Damar Hamlin at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center, Damar has shown remarkable improvement over the past 24 hours. He is still critically ill, but has demonstrated that he appears to be neurologically intact. His lungs continue to heal, and he is making steady progress. We are grateful for the love and support we have received. So that is good news. Praise the Lord for that Damar Hamlin is doing better and improving. Hopefully he continues to improve. Obviously, football is the least of the concerns right now. His, concerns right now is an overall, healthy recovery and speedy recovery as well. So Damar Hamlin, definitely in our thoughts and prayers, and hope you continue to improve. But all right, let's get into today's show. I basically want to talk about what everybody's kind of been talking about in the NBA for the past week and a half. If you've been watching, there have been some crazy scoring outputs from the NBA of the past, like I said, week and a half or so. So I want to take a look at some of those performances, just this past week that have been eye-opening, have been remarkable and noteworthy. So let's talk about Golden State first. Let's take a look into Klay Thompson. Double overtime win against the Atlanta Hawks. This was Monday night. He had 54 points, 21 for 39 from the field, 10 for 21 from three-point range. Think about that. He shot 21 threes. Like most teams don't even shoot 21 threes in a game as a whole. Like I said, the whole collective, but he shot 21 threes in that game. And he needed every single one of those 10 three-pointers that he made because, like I said, they beat the Atlanta Hawks in double overtime. So this was really great to see Klay Thompson, kind of the Klay Thompson of old who scored 60 points through three quarters years back, pre-injury. Obviously, he had two lower extremity injuries that had kept him out for over 2 years. So it's I personally, am happy to see him playing basketball at a high level. He's definitely not the defensive player that he once was, but to see, to know that he still has that kind of scoring output from him is pretty remarkable and pretty cool to see. So I thought Klay Thompson's 54-point performance from Monday night was pretty noteworthy. But let's take a look at another one. We have LeBron James in a win against the Atlanta Hawks on his birthday, December 30th. He turned 38 years old. They won that game 130 to 121, but LeBron dropped 47 points, shot 18 of 27 from the field, went 4 of 6 from three-point range. Not bad for LeBron James. But 10 rebounds, 9 assists, had a darn near birthday triple-double. But, y'all, is this year 20? This is year 19. I'm blanking on if it's 19 or 20. I think it's 20 for LeBron. But anyway, we got to appreciate this greatness while, we still can. Obviously, I'm a certified LeBron hater, and I'll tell that to anybody. I have no shame. Completely shameless. But I do appreciate, what LeBron has done for the game, his greatness and everything, about his game as a whole. He definitely elevates, his teammates wherever he goes. But I thought that was pretty incredible. 47 points on 18 of 27 shooting. Very efficient night for him, for the brand new 38-year-old. But he also followed that up with a game Monday night against the Charlotte Hornets where they won. He had 43 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 assists. So he wasn't done. He was out against Miami. This was Wednesday night. Non-COVID related illness. I'm assuming he would probably just rested from those, back-to-back 40-point games. But pretty incredible. Obviously, my preseason prediction was that the only thing that the Lakers were going to have to celebrate was LeBron James passing Kareem for all-time scoring. Right now, if he keeps up his scoring output, his standard scoring output of like 27, 28 points, he would reach that by March, I think, early March. If he's closer to, 30, 31 points per game, which he's capable of doing, it could be sometime in February. So we'll be on Kareem watch, I guess how you want to put it, for LeBron James. But hats off to him for some incredible performances from this past week. But another performance, let's take a look at Giannis Antetokounmpo. He had a career high, 55 points against the Washington Wizards, if I'm not mistaken, in a game that they won. They beat the Wizards, which everybody beats the Wizards. But 20 for 33 from the field, so a pretty efficient night for him as well. 10 rebounds, 7 assists. And the remarkable thing about him dropping 55 points, he had no three-pointers. He shot, I think, 0 for 3 from three-point range. And obviously, we know that's not really a part of his game. He'll attempt threes at least, but I thought that was pretty incredible. 55 points, no threes in today's game is pretty remarkable. But I know this was his career high. I still think his Game 6 in the finals in 2021 against the Phoenix Suns, where he had 50, 14 rebounds, and he made he went like 18 or 19 from free throw line or something like that. I felt that overall was more impressive. Obviously, much higher magnitude. It was a game, a closeout game in the NBA Finals. But this was pretty incredible as well for him to score 55 points with no three-point shots. But the next game, the next player that had a just completely masterful performance past week, I think it was on the 27th, so it was a little more than a week ago. But Luka Doncic, in a win against the New York Knicks, 126 to 121, scored 60 points. 60 points, 21 rebounds, 10 assists. The first ever 60-20 triple-double. Like, no one else has ever done that. I was like, wait, not even Wilt Chamberlain? And Wilt had multiple 50-point, 20 rebound games, but never a 60-20-10 game from anybody else in the NBA. So I thought that was pretty incredible. And shot incredibly efficiently. He took 31 shots and made 21 of them. So, like, 2/3 of his shots he made. Like, absolutely, incredible performance from Luka Doncic. I was, the fact that they won that game, I believe, in overtime as well. But he intentionally missed the free throw. Team got the rebound, and then he put it up to send the game to overtime. Just like the sheer volume of, shots that he took and the types of shots that he took, it's just incredible to watch. I don't know how anyone doesn't enjoy watching Luka Doncic play. It's just incredibly masterful with the basketball and on the basketball court in general. But great performance from Luka Doncic. But this next one, I thought the Luka Doncic performance was great. But we also had Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell against the Chicago Bulls. They won that game in overtime, 145 to 134. Donovan Mitchell scored 71 points. 71 points. I mean, incredible performance. He shot 7 of 15 from three-point range, 22 of 34 from the field, 11 assists, 8 rebounds, almost had a 70-point triple-double. Just a couple more rebounds, he'd had a 70-point triple-double. But he scored 55 points in the second half. Like, absolutely lights out. You know, one of those things, like, if you remember from a couple years ago when Damian Lillard had a huge scoring output in the playoffs, Kevin Durant was like, this is a spiritual experience. That's how it felt. Like, watching this man drop 71 points. Like, that's my career numbers. Like, you don't see that regularly on a regular basis. And I mean, there's only been 6 other players to score 70 points in a game. So he joined some pretty elite company. Obviously, Wilt Chamberlain, and he still has the most points in a game ever, 100 points, which I don't think will ever be passed. But then again, who knows? But Kobe Bryant, obviously, he scored 81 points. David Thompson, who I wasn't familiar with until I started doing research for this particular show. Old heads, don't judge me. But then you had Elgin Baylor also score 71. David Robinson scored 70. And Devin Booker scored 70 as well. In a loss, but he scored 70 points. So, incredible performance from Donovan Mitchell. Incredible performance from all these guys. And that's not even all of the, notable performances of the past season. I mean, you've had Jason Tatum I think he scored 50 or like 48, 49 at one point this season. Nikola Jokic has had some pretty impressive games. I mean, he's put up Wilt numbers like, 50, 10 plus rebounds, 10 plus boards. I mean, there have been some phenomenal performances in the NBA this year. But specifically when it comes to this past week and the performances that I just listed out, whose performance do I believe was the most impressive out of all the, points scored this weekend, performances put in? Whose performance was the most impressive? And I gotta give the edge to Luka Doncic. I think his 60-point, 20 rebound triple double, a stat line that has never ever been done before in the NBA. And the way that he scores, he's not the quickest guy, he's not the fastest, but he's deceptively crafty with the basketball and incredibly strong. I would give the slight edge to Luka Doncic for the best performance of the past week and a half. And it was close with Donovan Mitchell. I almost gave it to Donovan Mitchell with his 71 points because they needed every single one of his 71 points to win that game. They were down by 19 points. But I just feel as if Luka Doncic's 60-20-10 triple-double is just slightly more impressive. Like I said, he's a guard. Like 21 rebounds. Like that, how does that, I don't know how he does it. And I mean, I know Harden had the first ever, I want to give a shout out to him. He had the first ever 60-point triple-double with 60, 11, and 10, but it wasn't 60, 21, and 10. So I thought that was, just phenomenal from Luka Doncic. I give him the best performance of the past week and a half. But, continuing on with this, scoring trend and, or should I say, the topic of, more scoring in the NBA. I saw this, proposed on, I don't know if it was one of the sports talk shows or Twitter, but I kind of wanted to give my take on it. Is all of this scoring bad for the NBA? Is this a negative with all these 50-point, 60-point, 70-point, scoring outputs? People argue that, there's no defense now in the NBA. And, back in the day, games were, the final score would be 73-71 or final score would be 85-82. Teams would put on, masterclass in defenses. You had the Bad Boy Pistons back in the day. You had the Chauncey Billups, Ben Wallace Pistons, the Celtics back in the day. I mean, all these, defensive-minded teams who were incredibly successful and won championships. But, people say that defense isn't a focus anymore. And I get where they're coming from, but I think they're misguided because at the core, the NBA and all major professional sports for that matter is an entertainment league. People want excitement. People want highlights and things like that. And that's what scoring brings. Scoring brings more eyes, brings the casual fan, in my opinion, more eyes to the league when it comes to exciting plays. Sure, I love a good, defensive masterclass from a team, but that, for your just casual fan, they want to see some dunks. Like, I want to see some dunks. I want to see some alley-oops, some crazy crossovers where people, getting crossed up, and I want to see some deep threes. I want to see all of that stuff, all of those highlights and things like that. I feel draw eyes and draw attention to the league as a whole. So, I do want crackdowns on excessive traveling, because I feel as if the league has gotten bad at that. Although this year there's been an uptick in travel calls, which I really like. But carrying the ball has gotten kind of bad. I want to see the league crack down on that. But at the end of the day, scoring is just more entertaining, I would say. You had the Oklahoma City just the other day score 150 points, and I was like, what the heck? Like, against the Boston Celtics, for that matter, a good defensive team. That's a story for another day. But I think there can be a healthy mixture. I think higher scoring and solid defensive performances can coexist in a sense. But that's just how I feel. I want to see more scoring. I'm sorry for the people that, defense is everything, but I want to see more scoring. It's more exciting. It's more fun to watch. But that's just my opinion on the matter. But let's transition just a little bit. Let's take a look into around the association. Not a whole lot going on around the association in terms of, notable news, but I did want to talk about, Pelicans forward Zion Williamson. Unfortunately, Zion Williamson has a hamstring injury and will be out for the next 3 weeks. According to the article I have here, pulled up from NBA.com, New Orleans Pelicans forward Zion Williamson was in the midst of a standout game Monday before a hamstring injury curtailed his effort. Now the superstar forward will be sidelined for at least 3 weeks due to an injury, the team announced after an MRI on Tuesday. So it was a non-contact injury. He had the ball in his hands, was dribbling the ball up the court, and he got to about the top of the key and tried to, make a move, and, he grabbed his hamstring immediately. And I was like, oof, that looks kind of bad. So with hamstring injuries, it usually is at least a couple of weeks before you're able to, come back. Article shows here that the Pelicans ended up losing that game 120 to 111. Zion had 26 points on 10 of 12 shooting at the time, so was balling out and has been balling out pretty much the whole season. He's missed some games, but it's just super unfortunate that a guy so young has dealt with so many injuries early on. I really hope and pray that we're not, going to get to a point where we say what if about Zion, like what if he had never got injured, like we say about guys like Grant Hill and Tracy McGrady, Penny Hardaway, and things like that. Like what could have been. I would hate that. I really don't want to see that because he's so explosive. He's such an explosive player, but I don't know. He's such a hybrid. Like he has the body of a big, but the ability of a smaller, quicker player, and all that torque and whatnot on his body. Jumping down on his joints, you just hope that his body will be able to sustain that for a long career. Obviously, from what we've seen so far, it doesn't seem that way, but definitely praying for his quick and speedy recovery and a long, prosperous career for Zion Williamson. But before we wrap up today's show, I just want to kind of take a look at where we stand in the league standings for January, for the beginning of January, for the new year. So let's take a look at the Eastern Conference. So right now, you have the Boston Celtics with a 26-12 record, percentage-wise with the best record in the league, which is pretty impressive. Like I said, 26-12. The Milwaukee Bucks at the 2 seed in the East at 25-13. You got the Brooklyn Nets at 25-13 as well, and they have been balling out. I got to give them some credit. They've won 12 of their last 13 or 13 of their last 14 or some absurd stat like that. Right now they are 13-5 at home and 12-8 on the road. Their last 10, they're 9-1. So they've been pretty impressive after a slow start and after getting rid of Steve Nash, who I never felt they should have hired in the first place. But let's take a look at number 4, the Cleveland Cavaliers. They kind of dealt with their ups and downs, but they were playing pretty well, 25-14. Philadelphia 76ers, 23-14. The Knicks, who have been playing pretty well as well, 21-18. And then you've got your 4 play-in teams as of right now, the Indiana Pacers, 21-18, who have played pretty well. Tyrese Halliburton is playing like an all-star. I don't know what the heck Wally Zerbiak was seeing, but playing like an all-star at 21-18 for the Indiana Pacers. Miami Heat have struggled. They're the 8th seed right now at 20-19. You have the Atlanta Hawks at 18-20, and then the Chicago Bulls rounding it out at 17-21. So that's how the standings shape up at the beginning of the year in the Eastern Conference. Let's take a look at the West. You have the Denver Nuggets at 24-13, You have the Memphis Grizzlies also at 24-13. Now, if you remember, my preseason number 1 was the Memphis Grizzlies in the Western Conference. And I was kind of clowned by Chris on the show. Was basically saying, like, nah, that ain't going to happen. But, hey, I mean, that's what, so far, we're seeing. They're tied for first. That's all I'm saying. But the Pelicans, third in the West at 24-14. Obviously, with the injury to Zion Williamson, that could change. But you have Dallas Mavericks, 4th seed in the West, 22-16. The Sacramento Kings, let's give them some love at 20-17 for the year. De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis playing pretty well for the Sacramento Kings. And then you have the Clippers, who have had, multiple different lineups throughout the year with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George being out, but they're 21-18. And then your 4 play-in teams, you have the Portland Trailblazers at 19-18, the Phoenix Suns at 20-19, and the Golden State Warriors at 20-19 as well, which the Warriors, by the way, 17-3 at home, 3-16 on the road. Absolutely incredible how they have the best record at home and the worst record on the road. So, but I just saw a report that said Steph Curry is targeted to be back by January 13th, so we shall see about that. But hopefully he comes back 100% healthy. But then you have the Utah Jazz rounding out the league, the West at 19-21 after starting off really strong. They've kind of, fell a little bit by the wayside. They probably realized that, hey, Victor Wembanyama's, gonna go early in the draft, so we need to kick up our losing. But I'm totally kidding. Or am I? But anyway, those are the standings for the East and the West at the beginning of the year. It'll be interesting to see. I'll do a recap again at the beginning of February and probably try to do that at the beginning of every month to see how every month has shaped out. But ladies and gentlemen, that is all the show I have for you fine folks on this first episode of 2023, episode 10 of season 3. Thank you all for listening, for watching. If you can do all the good things like I say every week, like, share, subscribe, leave comments, all that stuff, I would greatly appreciate it. But I'm looking forward to all that's to come in 2023, both podcast-wise, professionally, personally, all that stuff. But I hope you have an amazing weekend coming up. Get to do all the things that you want to do, spend time with family, friends, and loved ones. But take care, be safe, and I will see you next week.
Just too quick for it, peeling off like the whip orange. Seen they effort, this piss poor. I got too much I gotta tend to. Car payments and the rent due. Told y'all that I'm 6 foot, but with the money statement I'm 10 to. Too much that I've been through, so I put it all in that rear view. Clean money in a black whip.